Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here today with a tag video. This is the In Your Wildest Dreams tag. It was created by Heather Reeds, and I was tagged by Melinda at a Web of Stories. And I thought, well, first of all, I've been trying to record this for the last month. Because of my health, and I haven't been doing well. I've been limiting my recording time, leaning more on vlogs for my Tuesday videos than something where I have to sit up. Still not feeling great, a little bit better, but I thought this was a good time to do this because it's fun and uplifting, and I thought we could all use a little bit of that. Okay, so here's the idea. She says it's about what you would do if there were no limits in your wildest dreams. And of course, it's all book and reading related. So in as much detail as you can, describe these things. And if you look at Heather's original video, which I'll link down below, you can see that she really gets into this in detail, like just kind of blue sky, daydreaming. What would you do? So number one, your fantasy time and place to read a book. So I think I have experienced this many times because I love to read while camping, surrounded by nature, and I love to read anytime I'm outdoors. So my fantasy would be a lake house, maybe for a whole month since we're blue skying. Looking out over the water in the fall with leaves at their peak color. Now, if you watch my channel regularly, you may know we recently did this just for a weekend, but we do it every fall with our sons. And I realized that would be my dream, to make that even longer, to have the time and freedom to read any time of day. So obviously I wouldn't be with my whole family, maybe with my husband. He's fine with reading all day. Lots of time alone, big stack of books I've been meaning to read, books that I've been dying to read and would now have the time to finally tackle them. So basically the contents of my waiting to be read bookcase upstairs. And since we're daydreaming here, I would want meals provided so that I don't have to do any work. Just lie in a lounge chair, look out at that beautiful lake and the fall foliage every day, and read my books. Okay, so question 2. Your fantasy personal library, or your own personal library if you have attained your fantasy. So I don't think I've attained my fantasy. I'm trying to decide, definitely lots of big bookcases. This is our biggest one. Most of ours are only like this high. We do have bookcases in almost every room of the house. I think we've just decided this weekend, because we've been going through our books and we've got some that we don't have room for that we want to keep. I think we're going to get another bookcase this side and size and put the two of them here in this corner. Right now I'm in a corner and this is kind of diagonally. But my fantasy, I've seen other booktubers with just walls of bookshelves. I would love that. And I'm trying to decide whether my fantasy is like we have now, books in every room of the house, spread out, or a library situation where I've got a whole room just devoted to books and reading. Definitely lots of natural light, lots of windows with beautiful views, and you're seeing a theme here. A comfy couch to lie on with really soft, snuggly blankets. Because of my illness, if I'm reading, I'm lying down. And yeah, that just sounds great to me. It would be really cool to have a library room. Yeah, I'm looking around this. This is our living room, but I'd love to turn it into a library. We actually don't use the living room that much. Okay, question 3. Imagine you have decided to build a bookstore. what would you call it? Would it sell new or secondhand books? Would it sell anything else? What features would you want in that store? So when I think about this, I've got a couple of inspirations. Northshire Bookstore in Manchester, Vermont is the first thing that I thought of. Because Northshire is such a cool bookstore. That is where Booktopia is held every spring. So I've been there now, I think 8 different times for Booktopia, plus once with my husband. And it is such a cool bookstore. To give you an idea, my mom always goes to Booktopia with me. And one year, she and her husband were celebrating their anniversary in Vermont. And my mom said, we have to spend some time at Northshire. And her husband was like, it's a bookstore. I don't want to just hang out at a bookstore. And he does enjoy reading, but he just retired. He was very, very busy with work and doesn't read that much. And he was like, okay. Well, he ended up loving it and never wanted to leave. They spent like the whole day there, which is easy to do. So I will link to a couple of my vlogs from Booktopia, because I've got lots of footage inside the bookstore, kind of giving you a tour of it. And please take a look at that, because you'll get an idea of, this is my ideal kind of bookstore. It's in an old house, but it's huge, and it's 3 stories. It's got all these, it doesn't just have different sections like a Barnes and Noble in a giant room divided, by shelves. It's got different rooms, different nooks and crannies. I often do a lot of shopping in the science fiction fantasy section, which is right next to the mystery and thriller section, because I do a lot of my gift buying at Booktopia when I'm there at Northshire, when I'm there for Booktopia. And I get the thrillers for my husband and the fantasy for my son. That little section, which I've included in the vlogs, is super cozy. It's got really comfy chairs everywhere. So that's one of my ideals that I'm thinking of. Another one is a bookstore we just visited this summer called Green Toad Bookstore in Oneonta, New York. And this was a far smaller bookstore. It's in a storefront on a main street, but it is really cool because the curation was fabulous inside. You could tell that the owner had put a lot of thought, and I talked to the owner about what books to carry. And even though it's a small-ish, like medium-sized bookstore, it had sections for everything. And I loved looking around that too. And I also did a vlog there, so I'll post that as well. So those are what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of my ideal bookstore that I would like to have. Nooks and crannies, cozy spots, different sections, maybe in different rooms, but where you can feel the different vibes for each section. And also, I would definitely want to have things other than books, because like I showed you at Green Toad, and it's the same at Northshire, both places have loads of gifts. Some book related, some just cool things, all different kinds of coffee mugs, all different kinds of journals, t-shirts. I would definitely love to also have gifts. And I know this is supposed to be fantasy, not like logical, but I do know from what I've read that the key to a successful bookstore is that books don't make that much money, honestly, and you have to do other things like events and gifts. Yeah, actually that's not just from reading. We've got a tiny little local bookstore. So my bookstore would sell both new and used much like Northshire does. It would definitely host all kinds of fun events. It would have a coffee shop, cafe with items for breakfast and lunch. And yeah, since we're fantasizing here, I would be involved. I'd be there every day and involved in all the events, which would mean I don't have a chronic illness and I've got plenty of stamina and I can be around crowds of people in an indoor place. None of which is true right now, but hey, this is fantasy, right? This is the idea of this tag. Okay, now I really want to go visit a really cool bookstore. Okay, question 4. One person, not a Booktube creator, with whom you can have a good conversation about books. If you don't know a person like this, who do you know that you wish would become a reader so that you could talk books with them? Well, my husband loves to read, but he does not like to talk about books. Even when he's really enthusiastic, I can't get much more than a few words out of him. So I love you, honey, but that's not you. Certainly, all of my Booktopia friends, a lot of the same people go back to the event every year, although there's always new people who are always welcome. And yeah, over the years, we've become really close. When we're not at Booktopia, it's only an annual event once a year, but we stay in touch on Facebook. Some of us have, become even closer and message each other or text or call. One of my Booktopia friends doesn't live that far from here, about a little over an hour away near Philadelphia. She and I have vowed to get together. We haven't yet, but it's been kind of a rocky year for me since Booktopia, so I still want to do that. So yeah, my Booktopia friends are fabulous for that. Also, my mom, who goes to Booktopia with me. So we don't always read the same books, and certainly not at the same time, but we do like to talk about books when we're together. All of the members of my neighborhood book group, I know the question said one person, but I've got lots. I'm blessed to have a lot of people I can talk books with. My in-person book group is started as a neighborhood book group, but there are other people. Well, some of the neighbors have moved out by now and others have come in. So the group is kind of mixed now, but they're wonderful people. They're friends as well as neighbors. And my book group is fabulous for book discussions. I know I've heard about book groups where nobody ever talks about the book. We do start off every meeting just, everybody talking at once about what's going on in their lives and their families and vacations and grandkids. But we've got one member who always says, okay, time to talk about the book, which we all appreciate because we have great in-depth discussions. We do not always agree. In fact, we rarely all agree on a book, but we always have good discussions. And I am also blessed to have some real life close friends who love to read. Thinking of you, Amy, Marty, Carolyn, Judy. Yeah, I'm blessed to have good friends that love to talk about books. So I'm in good shape on that one. My fantasy has come true there. Number 5, if you won $1 million or pounds or yens or euros or whatever, and you could spend it only on books or book-related items, how would you spend it? Well, first of all, I'd want to spend that $1 million on medical research as much as I love books, but we're fantasizing here. So definitely a bookstore and lots of books as gifts for friends, although I already do that. I don't buy many books for myself. Like I said, I've got a whole bookcase upstairs waiting to be read. But also my family all gives books for holidays, for all holidays, like Easter, every holiday. And so I've always got plenty of new books to read, and I love picking out books for other people. So certainly I would want to buy a lot of book gifts for friends and family. And I would donate to our local library system. I think the libraries always need help. And finally, tag others. I want to hear your wildest dreams. I'm tagging Nikki at My Messy Bookshelf, Reed Becca, Lenny Iverson, Books, Ink, and Paper, and a new Booktube friend, Kim, at Wild Hearts and Wildflowers. Kim is new to Booktube, so I encourage you to go visit her channel and check it out. Actually, check all of these out. And whether I tagged you or not, I'd love to hear your answers to this fun, blue sky thinking kind of tag.